Bob, we haven't talked a ton about special teams in these Football Friday segments, and obviously last week, huge play from special teams. But, kickoff coverage, punt coverage, punt returns even, at a big one late in the Harvard game. You have to be, I think, pretty pleased overall, especially in the coverage games and special teams. And then, obviously, the punt block was a huge way to start that Penn game.
Yeah, both in general terms, how we played this season, and we've replaced some really good players, Nolan Beek and Dre Nelson, some historic players that have done such a great job for us. Max Liscano with the punt returns. Right. And Penn was at the top of the league in so many categories. And the challenge from day one, Coach Gleason laid it out, Sean laid it out on Sunday, the challenge that we had, and we needed to win special teams. And we called a break, they dropped the ball, but the fact that we did every detail right on that in terms of getting them to cut their splits downs to Jesper's effort allowed us to take advantage of an opportunity.
When we sat here last week, we talked specifically defensively about just team defense and how statistically nobody was jumping off the charts, but you were shutting teams down for the most part. Saturday, offensively and defensively, there were some pretty good numbers, but nobody jumped out. And yet afterwards, you're talking about really one of the great overall team performances in your 7 years here.
Yeah, it's the beauty of that nobody jumps out, but everybody, when you watch the film, jumps out. And, statistically, when you come to all league honors and everything else, who made the most tackles very often, we're not going to have that the way we're playing. But Luke Katarius and Rohan are playing their best football. And that's saying something as well as they played since they've been here. And Kurt Haluba and Schlossberg and Brandon Jones and Ty Desiree and Burke Olson and Mike Wagner and Jeremiah Tyler up front are playing their best football. And then you got guys coming in, Mark Fasati, playing his best football. And then the guys on the back end are playing their best football. And when you do that, you got a chance to be successful against these really good offenses that we've seen and that we'll see going forward.
I believe last year you ended the year ranked 7th in the Ivy League in run defense. Right now, I think you're 5th in the nation in run defense. Obviously, you got some players back, but there's got to be more to it than just a couple of returns. I mean, what has worked so well?
I think we're tackling well. I think that part times with run defense, we've had leads.
Yeah.
So teams aren't running the ball at the end of the game. They're forced to throw more often. So a little bit's that. But you look at the yards per carry, and the yards per carry has been steady week in, week out. But we didn't have great responsibilities. We were so run focused. We were giving up big pass plays. And now that we're doing both well, we're playing better team defense, which is what you like to see. But we are tackling well. We're being physical. It's going to be a huge challenge this week. They have 4 guys on their roster who've had a 170-yard rushing game at some point in their careers. That's unheard of. I mean, maybe at Navy or a team that is an option team, but not in a team that plays their style.
When you look at this weekend, I mean, it's a Yale team that obviously record-wise has struggled, but you've seen them the last couple of years, and you just brought it up. The way they've been able to run the ball, somebody with, I think, a couple hundred yards against you last year. How it's a different type of challenge, obviously, than what Penn presented in terms of, with Torgerson and Solomon and the spread option. But again, you have to be disciplined, I assume, in stopping that attack.
Yeah, if you just watch plays and don't look at results, they're a very good football team. I mean, they are running the ball successfully. They got a freshman quarterback who's thrown the ball very accurately and very well. They got young receivers who are playmakers. And it doesn't change for us. We have to be exact with our responsibilities. We have to pursue the football. And we did a great job in space Saturday, running to the flats and keeping plays to a minimum yardage when they do fake run and throw it out there. And then we can't give up big plays.
When you look at Yale's defense and your offense, and one of the guys I really wanted to talk about was the play of James Frashani last weekend. We talked, had an injury last year, had an injury early this year, and you wondered if he would ever be able to string enough games together to really get a rhythm, and it feels like you're starting to see that now. Had the touchdown against Cornell, the touchdown last weekend, the 2-point conversion, and he's really turning into just that dependable option for your quarterbacks that you know where he's going to be, and you know if you put it close, he's going to catch it.
Yeah, just like with like Matt Costello,
Right.
and there's a reliability and a trust that they have with James. And unfortunately, he played the entire season. He got hurt in the Lehigh game and missed a few games, played the entire season on one leg. And just a credit to his toughness. And he was able to remove the brace. He had a phenomenal spring and training camp. And right before opening game against Lafayette, he suffered an injury and had to miss some time. And we're seeing the guy we saw in the spring. We're seeing the guy that we saw during training camp. And the quarterbacks feel real comfortable that he is going to be exactly where he needs to be, and he's going to catch the ball.
You know, you're in week 9. Every team's got their bumps and bruises, and some guys who are going to be a little more limited. And this is probably the time where you're going to see a couple of freshmen and sophomores who may have risen up a little bit. Do you feel good going into your final 2 weeks just about the depth and about some of the young guys that may just have to take the field a little bit more?
Yeah, and we've had to do that. And, you know, we lose a guy early in the game, and Jeremiah Tyler not only returned that punt block for a touchdown, but he played, I mean, he was so active. It didn't show up in sacks, but he pressured the quarterback and consistently was forcing him to release the ball before he was ready on last Saturday. And TJ Floyd has been a stalwart all year. Riley Radosevich has played so many snaps and started for us almost all year at tackle. And you can go on and on and on. And you know, the freshmen and the sophomores have really added to this really good upper class group.